Chosen one, heaven has paused everything to reach you right now. The wind, the noise, the distractions, everything stands still because this message carries the weight of eternity. You are not hearing this by accident. You are not scrolling by coincidence. You are hearing the call, the final summons that your soul has been waiting for since before you were born. You have felt it for a long time. The pull, the stirring, the quiet whisper that says, you are not like the rest. You've looked at your life and wondered why the storms were stronger for you, why rejection followed you, why peace seemed delayed. But listen carefully, those were not signs of abandonment, they were signs of being chosen. Heaven does not invest this much fire in something disposable. The intensity you faced was proof of your purpose. There is a divine urgency in this moment. Something in the spirit realm has shifted. What once resisted you is beginning to lose its grip. The battles that wore you down were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to train you to stand firm when others collapse. You were being equipped, not punished. Heaven has been building spiritual muscle in secret places. Every tear you cried was a seed planted in the soil of your destiny. You may not see it yet, but the season is turning. The night is losing its authority over you. The spiritual atmosphere is aligning with the promise spoken over your name. You are walking into the hour of unveiling, where hidden things come to light, and where those who doubted you will see the fingerprints of God all over your story. But before that manifestation can come, you must awaken fully. No more half faith, no more halfway obedience. This is the moment where you must rise and step into what was written about you before time began. Heaven has sounded the trumpet. Angels have been dispatched. You are being summoned to the front lines of your divine calling. Look around your life. You can feel the transition. Doors that used to open easily are closing, not because you've failed, but because your old chapter is complete. People who once understood you are being removed, not because you did something wrong, but because the new version of you cannot fit in the old room. You are being repositioned by divine hands. There is a light beginning to break over you now, a heavenly clarity descending like morning dew. The confusion that once blinded you is lifting. Heaven is aligning your mind with divine strategy. This is your awakening moment. It's the day you finally stop asking, why me, and start saying, send me. The world may have overlooked you, but the throne of heaven never did. Your name was written long before they doubted you. You were seen when no one else noticed. Every season of silence was a setup for this divine announcement: you are chosen. You are not here to survive, you are here to reign, to carry light, to shift atmospheres. Lift your head. Chosen one. You've been walking with royalty, disguised as pain. The crown you've been asking for has been waiting for the right moment, and that moment is now. The earth groans for the manifestation of the sons and daughters of God, and you are part of that rising. You have been through enough testing to prove trustworthy with glory. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Let those words sink deep into your spirit. They are not poetry, they are prophecy. They are the very decree of heaven over your life right now. You are being commanded to rise, not gently invited, not casually encouraged. Commanded, because your rising is not just about you, it is about everyone your light will touch. When you rise, others will find their courage. When you speak, chains will break. When you move, darkness will retreat. So take this moment seriously. Heaven has chosen this very second in time to activate what has been sleeping inside you. The anointing resting upon you is about to multiply. Your voice will carry weight. Your presence will carry peace. Your hands will bring healing. The things that once broke you will no longer have power over you. And now, as you feel the stirring in your heart, do not let it fade. Act upon it. This is your divine confirmation. Like, share, and comment to let the heavens know you've received this word. Declare your faith openly. Do not hide your light anymore. Subscribe to stay aligned with the prophetic flow that is building momentum around you. Heaven is moving, and you are part of it. If this word speaks to your spirit, type the number 777 inches, the comments below, as a sign of your agreement with heaven's timing, the number of divine completion and perfect alignment today. It becomes your mark of obedience. You have always felt it, haven't you? That invisible difference, the quiet dissonance between your soul and the world around you. Since childhood, you sensed that something about you didn't quite fit. You felt emotions more deeply, dreamed more vividly, noticed things others ignored. You walked through life with an awareness that the ordinary could never satisfy you. That awareness was not a flaw, it was evidence. Evidence that you carry a mark, an invisible seal that heaven placed upon you long before anyone else ever knew your name. You are not random. You are not a mistake. You were marked by the divine for a purpose greater than comfort, greater than recognition, greater even than survival. That mark is why the darkness noticed you early. It is why resistance came for you before reward did. The enemy recognized your potential long before you did. He saw what was written over your destiny, and he tried to silence it before it could speak. Every early wound, every betrayal, every rejection, it was an attempt to erase what heaven had already written in fire. But you cannot erase what God has sealed. The seal of the chosen is not made of ink, it is made of spirit. It glows when you pray. It burns when you worship. It draws opposition not because you are weak, but because your very presence exposes darkness. Wherever you go, you disturb false peace. You disrupt patterns that were never meant to continue. You are heaven's disruption in human form. This mark has made you misunderstood. People have looked at your process and misread it as failure. They could not see that your struggle was a sacred disguise. Heaven hid you while he prepared you. He allowed some doors to close not to reject you, but to redirect you toward the one path that only you could walk. Every chosen one bears this seal differently. Some carry it in their voice when they speak. Truth trembles in the air. Others carry it in their compassion. Their love heals wounds deeper than words could ever reach. And some carry it in their endurance. Their refusal to quit becomes their testimony. Your mark might not look like theirs, but it burns just as bright in the spirit realm. There were times when you tried to wash it off. Weren't there times you wished to blend in, to be ordinary, to silence the fire that burned inside? But the mark never faded. Even when you walked away, grace followed. Even when you fell, mercy pulled you back. You could not unchoose what God had already chosen, and that mark, it has a sound. It resonates in heaven like a chord that never stops vibrating. Angels recognize it. Demons fear it. When you pray, the heavens respond not to your perfection, but to your identity. You are known not by your failures, but by your seal. You may wonder, why me? The truth is simple, because you were designed to carry something the world desperately needs. You were chosen to be a vessel of light in a time when darkness pretends to be wisdom. You were born to reflect eternity in the middle of confusion. That is why the enemy wanted you weary. That is why he attacked your self-worth, your confidence, your peace. If he could make you doubt your mark, he could make you delay your destiny. But not anymore. The veil is lifting now. You are beginning to remember who you are. The spiritual fingerprints of God are becoming visible on your life. And as your awareness deepens, so does your authority. The mark is not just identity, it is access. It allows you to enter dimensions of grace that others cannot see. It gives you favor where logic says you should be denied. It opens doors without explanation. You do not need to prove you are chosen. You simply need to walk like it. Chosen ones do not chase, they attract. They do not strive, they align. When heaven placed its mark upon you, striving ceased to be your strategy, and surrender became your strength. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the first book of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. Those words were not written for history, they were written for you. The generation of the marked is rising again, the ones who refuse to bow to the noise, the ones who stand firm when compromise seems easier, the ones whose very existence is a reminder that purpose cannot be destroyed, only delayed. So walk with quiet confidence now. You no longer need to ask for confirmation. Your existence is confirmation. Every breath you take is proof that your mission is not complete yet. You are marked for influence, anointed for impact, and protected by promise. The world may not understand you, but heaven celebrates you. And every step you take from this moment forward declares one truth: the seal of the chosen is unbreakable. You've wondered why life has felt like a battlefield, haven't you? Why every season seems to bring new resistance, new attacks, new misunderstandings. But listen carefully, what you thought was chaos was actually a hidden war. Not one fought with weapons you can touch, but a war of light and shadow, fought over the territory of your soul. Every delay, every disappointment, every invisible weight pressing against you, it wasn't random, it was spiritual. You have been living on the front lines of an unseen battle because you carry something the enemy fears. You see, darkness never wastes energy on the average. It reserves its fury for the chosen. You were marked in heaven, and hell noticed. The attacks began when you were still too young to understand. You faced rejection that made no sense. People turned against you without reason. Doors closed when you were doing everything right. You thought it was personal, but it was spiritual. You were not fighting people, you were fighting patterns. You were not fighting circumstances, you were fighting spirits that wanted to break your faith before it could mature. The invisible war has always been about identity. The enemy knows he cannot take your calling, so he tries to make you doubt you ever had one. He whispers lies into your exhaustion. You're not good enough. You're too late. You missed it. But those are not your thoughts, they are weapons formed against your peace. If you could see in the spirit, you'd realize that every battle you faced was evidence that you are dangerous to darkness. You disrupt what the enemy built in secret. Even your fatigue is proof that you've been fighting something heavy. But here is the truth: you were never meant to fight in your own strength. Heaven has always backed you. Angels have stood guard when you felt alone. Grace has carried you when logic said you should have fallen. There were moments you nearly broke, but someone held you together. That something was the hand of God, ensuring you wouldn't collapse before your coronation. The hidden war has refined you. Every attack taught you discernment. Every betrayal taught you wisdom. Every setback trained your spirit to rely not on what you see, but on what you know. You've been learning how to wage war with peace, how to win by standing still, how to use worship as a weapon. You didn't realize it, but you've been in training. Every tear was a sword being forged. Every prayer whispered through pain was an arrow released into the unseen, as the Apostle Paul revealed in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." That scripture pulls back the curtain. It explains why some things in your life have felt impossible to explain. You weren't losing a career, you were fighting for your calling. You weren't just battling anxiety, you were protecting your peace. The soil where faith grows. Every chosen one must eventually realize that the true war is invisible. Once you see that, the attacks lose their power. You are learning to see beyond what's visible. You're realizing that what breaks others cannot break you, because you no longer fight alone. Your endurance is a weapon. Your peace is armor. Your silence in the middle of chaos is proof of spiritual maturity. You have survived what others would have surrendered to, and that survival is not weakness, it's warfare. So, from now on, when storms rise, you will not panic. You'll discern. You'll recognize the spiritual current beneath the surface and speak with authority. You'll remind darkness that it cannot dwell where light stands. You will walk through battles that once terrified you and say, "This is familiar ground. I've fought here before, and I've already won." The hidden war was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. Every struggle has stripped away what was temporary so that what is eternal could emerge. You are not the same person who started this journey. You are wiser, stronger, sharper. You no longer fight for victory, you fight from victory. Heaven already declared the outcome. And now, beloved chosen one, it is time to declare your allegiance aloud. Let the unseen world know which side you stand on. Comment "Light wins" below. Say it as a proclamation, not a phrase. When you write those two words, you're not just typing, you're agreeing with heaven's decree that darkness has lost its hold over you. It is an act of spiritual authority, a public mark that your spirit recognizes truth over lies. Every time you say, "Light wins," you remind the shadows that they cannot return. You remind your fear that it is defeated. You remind your soul that the battle was already decided the moment you were chosen. Stand firm. Lift your head. The war may be hidden, but your victory is not. The light in you is growing, and no darkness can extinguish it now. You remember the pain, don't you? The long nights when your prayers felt unanswered, the tears that soaked your pillow, the weight that sat heavy on your chest. You questioned why God would allow so much breaking in the life of someone he called chosen. But what you didn't see then was the fire behind the suffering, the sacred refining that only the furnace can bring. You weren't being punished, you were being purified. Every chosen one must pass through the refining fire, because purity and power cannot coexist with pride and fear. The moments that burned you were not there to destroy, they were there to cleanse. The flames you felt around your heart were removing what could not enter your next season. Heaven knew there were things attached to you people. Habits, fears that would have contaminated your promise. So the fire came, and everything temporary began to melt away. You begged for rescue, but heaven remained silent. Not out of cruelty, but out of love. The silence of God is not his absence, it is his operating room. When he removes what is diseased, he does not speak, he works. You cried for explanation, but instead of answers, he gave you transformation. That's why you look back now and barely recognize who you were. The old version of you could not carry what's coming next. The refining process is violent to the flesh, but vital to the spirit. It strips away everything that was never truly yours. Your reliance on people who couldn't stay. Your dependence on validation that never satisfied. Your tendency to settle for comfort instead of purpose. The fire exposed all of it, burned it down, and left only what was pure, your faith. The kind of faith that stands when everything else falls. And now, when you meet others in their suffering, you carry a different kind of voice. A voice that doesn't preach from theory, but from experience. You can look into the eyes of the wounded and say, I know what that feels like, and I also know how it ends. That's the power of the refined. You no longer just talk about endurance, you embody it. Heaven never wastes pain. The God who allowed the fire also controlled its temperature. It was never meant to consume you. It was only allowed to consume the things that were never meant to stay. Like gold in a furnace, you are emerging brighter, stronger, and far more valuable than before. There were moments when you thought the breaking would never stop, when everything familiar fell apart. You wondered if there was anything left of you to save. But what you lost was not your identity, it was your dependency. What you thought was the end was really the unveiling. You didn't know your own strength until the fire revealed it. You didn't know how much faith was inside you until your prayers became your only weapon. As the prophet wrote in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3, he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Read that slowly. He doesn't stand over the fire, he sits. The posture of a craftsman who is patient, deliberate, and fully in control. He does not panic when the flames rise, because he knows exactly when to remove the silver from the heat. Too little fire, and the impurities remain. Too much, and the vessel is destroyed. But perfect timing, that's how beauty is born. That's what he's done with you. He sat beside your life as you burned, never leaving, never turning away. He watched until he could see his reflection in you, until your responses mirrored his heart, until your perspective aligned with his wisdom. When you started responding to pain with prayer instead of panic, that's when heaven knew the refining was complete. Now, as the embers cool, you begin to realize you are no longer the same person who entered the fire. You don't react like you used to. You don't fear like you used to. You don't cling to what is dying. You trust what is divine. The breaking birthed discernment. The fire birthed focus. The pain birthed purpose. So, chosen one, lift your head. Do not despise the seasons that scorched you. They were sacred classrooms disguised as chaos. The tears that once blurred your vision have washed your eyes clean. You see differently now, clearer, deeper, truer. You see not with fear, but with faith. And that is the mark of one who has been refined by God himself. The fire did not take you out. It revealed what cannot be burned. It revealed you, There came a season when everything grew quiet. The voices that once surrounded you faded. The messages that once comforted you seemed distant. Heaven itself felt still. You wondered if God had stepped away. If your prayers had gone unnoticed. That silence was heavy. It pressed against your spirit, demanding explanation. But now, beloved, chosen one, you are beginning to understand the silence was never absence. It was preparation. It was the stillness before the shift. Every artist pauses before the next stroke. Every composer stops before the crescendo. Every gardener waits for the seed beneath the soil to break open. That waiting, that unbearable hush, is not death, it is transformation. Heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was watching you ripen. The promises over your life were like fruit, and they could not be picked too early. So God let silence wrap around you like a cocoon, so you could emerge, not broken, but reborn. You were being stretched in secret. The quiet places, the lonely nights, the prayers that ended in tears, those were your sacred classrooms. In the silence, faith learns to breathe. In the pause, roots go deeper. And when you could no longer feel him, that was the moment he was closest, because he trusted you to walk by faith, not by feeling. The silence before the shift is holy ground. It is the place where heaven hides you from unnecessary noise. Some doors were shut not to punish you, but to protect your focus. God was pruning the distractions that would have diluted your destiny. He let the noise die so you could finally hear your own calling clearly. Do you see it now? You've been in an incubator of transformation. While others rushed, you were refined. While others spoke, you were being spoken to. Heaven was aligning circumstances in ways you couldn't yet perceive. And now, you can feel it, a tremor in the atmosphere, like the first vibration of thunder before the rain. Something is shifting. Something is awakening. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God." It's not a suggestion, it's a command wrapped in comfort. Be still. It means stop striving, stop forcing, stop doubting. You are not losing time. You are being synchronized with divine timing. Every delay has been divine choreography. Heaven has been weaving your story like threads in a tapestry. You may only see tangled strands from where you stand, but from above, God sees the masterpiece forming. And now, beloved one, as the stillness begins to lift, the world will see the glow of what silence created in you. The confidence, the clarity, the peace. It all came from that pause. What felt like a prison was actually your preparation room. The same stillness that frightened you will soon become the foundation that stabilizes you when everything around you begins to move. So when you step forward now, do it gently but with purpose. The shift is not something you chase, it's something you align with. Heaven's wind is already blowing in your direction. All you need to do is spread your wings. And as you feel that divine breeze stirring again, remember, you are not alone on this journey. Thousands of other chosen souls are walking through their own stillness, waiting for the same signal. Together, we are a constellation of light across the earth. Each one awakening. Each one answering the same quiet call. If this message has stirred something deep within you, let your response be an act of alignment, not obligation. When you like, it's more than a click, It's a way of saying, I receive this peace. When you share, you are scattering seeds of hope into the timelines of those who have forgotten that silence can be sacred. When you subscribe, you step into a stream of words and wisdom that will continue to nourish your spirit through every season. And if your heart feels led to give, do it not as a transaction, but as a reflection of gratitude. Think of it as pouring water into the river that has refreshed you. Every drop you give flows back into creating more messages, more reminders for souls like yours who are still walking through the quiet valleys. A single act of generosity becomes a light in someone else's night. This isn't about money, it's about meaning. It's about keeping the flame alive so the message of hope can keep traveling across unseen distances. Whether you give through prayer, time, or support, you become part of the divine cycle where what blesses you goes forth to bless others. The silence before the shift taught you to listen, and now, heaven is whispering again, move with grace, give with love, walk in peace. The world is noisy, but you have learned the sacred art of stillness. Carry it into your next step. Let others see through you that silence is not the end, it's the space where God breathes beginnings. The quiet has done its work. The shift has begun. There are moments in life when the air feels charged, when something invisible begins to hum around you, and your spirit knows change is not coming. It's already here. You can feel it now. Can't you? That subtle stirring deep within your chest. It's not anxiety, it's alignment. The gears of destiny are clicking into place. The season that once felt frozen is beginning to move again. What was delayed is being delivered. Heaven has been quietly arranging divine appointments, unseen connections, and perfect timing. It might have seemed like everything was standing still, but in the unseen realm, the clock of prophecy has struck the appointed hour. What was impossible yesterday is accessible today. The promise that felt distant is beginning to breathe. The prophetic alignment has begun. You've waited long enough. And the waiting wasn't wasted. It taught you endurance. It built your trust. It stripped away your impatience so that now, when the blessing arrives, you will not idolize it, you will steward it. God never forgot what He spoke over your life. His delay was not denial, it was calibration. Every setback positioned you exactly where His hand needed you to be. Look back for a moment. The relationships that ended, the opportunities that slipped away, the detours that didn't make sense, all of them were threads in a larger pattern. What you thought were mistakes were actually divine redirections. You were never off the map. You were just being rerouted to the higher path. This is the mystery of divine timing. It often feels late until it arrives. And then you realize it's perfect. Every chosen one must pass through this waiting corridor before the door opens. The door you've been praying for is no longer locked. It is simply waiting for you to step toward it in obedience. There's a shift, not just around you, but within you. Your heart feels lighter, your discernment sharper. The noise that once confused you no longer has power. You are tuned to a higher frequency now, the frequency of heaven's rhythm. You are walking in step with divine order. As it is written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2 through 3, write the vision and make it plain, though it tarries. Wait for it, it will surely come. It will not delay. These ancient words speak directly into your present moment. The visions, the dreams, the ideas that once felt dormant are now awakening. Heaven is breathing life into what seemed buried. You are not imagining the shift, you are witnessing the beginning of fulfillment. What was written about you is coming to pass. Do not be surprised if the atmosphere around you begins to rearrange. People will suddenly appear who speak your language of purpose. Opportunities will arise in places you never expected. Doors will open without effort. Because when heaven aligns, human force is unnecessary. Your only task now is obedience, to move when prompted, to speak when led, to trust when you cannot see the full path. This alignment is precise. It is not chaotic. Every chosen one has a moment like this, where heaven and earth synchronize, and destiny stops being a promise and becomes reality. You are standing in that convergence right now. The very fact that you are reading this in this exact moment means you are on time. You haven't missed your window, you've just entered it. So pause, breathe, feel the weight of the moment. Everything that once seemed random is revealing its pattern. You'll begin to understand why certain seasons were so heavy. It was the pressure that produces alignment. Heaven never rushes, it arranges. And now the question becomes, will you move with the flow or resist it? Because alignment requires surrender. To stay in divine rhythm, you must let go of your old tempo. You must release control and allow grace to lead your steps. This isn't the time to force outcomes, it's the time to flow. You are stepping into divine current. And when you move with it, you move faster with less effort. Chosen one, the wait is over. The prophetic moment you have prayed for is unfolding right before your eyes. But alignment is not passive, it's participatory. Heaven aligns, you agree. That agreement is your act of faith, your yes to what God has already prepared. So declare it now. Let heaven and earth hear your agreement. In the comments below, type 444, the number of stability, divine order, and angelic alignment. Do not type it lightly. Type it as a seal, as a prophetic sign that you are stepping into your ordained flow. When you write it, you're not just reacting, you're responding. You're saying, I recognize my moment. The number itself carries weight. It symbolizes the establishment of structure, the foundation of something lasting. Heaven is building through you now ministries, movements, missions, even families aligned with divine purpose. You are the cornerstone of something new. Everything begins today. Heaven has called time on delay. The alignment has started, and your name is written into its blueprint. Move with reverence, with peace, with awareness. You are walking not in coincidence, but in calling. There always comes a moment when heaven pauses before the next command, a still point where your choices carry eternal weight. You stand in that moment now, the moment of decision, the space between surrender and rebellion, between obedience and hesitation. It is not a comfortable place. The air feels thick, the heart trembles, and the mind argues with the spirit. But this crossroads is sacred. Every chosen one must reach it before destiny can unfold. You know the feeling well, the gentle nudge that keeps repeating inside you, that whisper that will not fade. It's not anxiety, it's instruction. Heaven has been guiding you toward a decisive act of obedience. You've prayed for breakthrough. But breakthrough is often disguised as a choice, one that tests your willingness to trust without knowing the outcome. This is not about punishment or fear. It is about participation. God does not force alignment, He invites it. He waits to see whether you will choose faith over familiarity. Because the truth is, your future depends less on external circumstances and more on internal agreement. The doors are ready to open, but heaven waits for your yes. You've stood here before, haven't you, in seasons past, when conviction pulled at your heart and comfort begged you to stay where you were. You reasoned, you delayed, you told yourself you would obey when the time is right. But the truth is, there is never a perfect time, only a right heart. And right now, your heart knows what needs to be done. Obedience is rarely glamorous. It often looks like loss before it looks like reward. It might mean walking away from what feels safe, releasing what once felt necessary, or forgiving what still hurts. But every act of obedience carries unseen power. Every surrender releases weight from your soul and makes room for the next wave of glory. Think about Abraham, asked to leave everything familiar without knowing where he was going. Think about Moses, standing before the Red Sea with only a staff and a word. Think about Esther, risking her life to save her people. Every great move of God began with a trembling decision. Heaven doesn't require perfection, it requires permission, the permission of your will to let God lead. You are standing at your own Red Sea right now. Behind you is the comfort of what you've known. Ahead of you is the uncertainty of faith. And in between stands God, asking one question: will you trust me enough to step forward? The hesitation you feel is natural. The flesh fears what it cannot predict, but the Spirit knows the truth. Obedience opens what logic cannot. Every miracle in Scripture began when someone acted beyond understanding. Water turned to wine only after the jars were filled. Seas parted only after feet stepped forward. Provision came only after trust was proven. The pattern has never changed. This moment of decision is not just about your personal breakthrough, it's about everyone connected to your obedience. When you choose faith, others find courage through you. Your yes becomes a doorway for someone else's freedom. You may not see it now, but heaven will show you later how many destinies were tied to this very moment. As was written in the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, "Choose this day whom you will serve." That ancient declaration still echoes now. It isn't merely a command, it's an invitation to clarity. To choose is to end confusion. To decide is to declare that hesitation no longer rules your life. The enemy thrives in delay because delay disguises disobedience. But when you make a firm decision, heaven moves with you. Some choices are small in appearance but large in consequence. To forgive, to walk away, to begin again, to speak when silence would be easier, to love when rejection is still fresh. Each of these decisions shifts something in the unseen. They tell the universe that your heart belongs to purpose, not pain. And here is the hidden beauty once you decide. Peace follows. The torment of indecision dissolves the moment obedience begins. You may still face challenges, but inside, you'll know you're aligned. Heaven backs movement, not hesitation. The moment you step, grace will meet you. Provision will find you. Strength will multiply within you. This is the sacred tension between surrender and rebellion. One leads to life, the other to delay. But grace is present, right here, urging you toward life. The whisper in your heart is not condemnation, its invitation. You are being invited into partnership with heaven, to participate in your own prophecy. So stand tall, chosen one. You are not standing at the edge of loss. You are standing at the threshold of fulfillment. The decision you make here will define your direction for years to come. Let fear fade into faith. Let hesitation melt into trust. You've been prepared for this very moment. The skies above you are shifting. The path beneath you is forming. Heaven is waiting not with pressure, but with anticipation. The universe holds its breath, because your next step will echo beyond this day. When you move, creation itself will respond. This is your moment of decision, and heaven already knows which way your heart will turn. There is a quiet gravity that falls upon the soul when the spirit begins to speak of consequence, not as threat, but as truth. Every chosen one must come to understand the cost of disobedience. It is not measured in punishment, but in distance, the distance that grows when we step out of alignment with the divine current. Disobedience does not always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like hesitation. Sometimes it wears the disguise of good intentions delayed too long. You felt that weight before the pull between what God asked and what you preferred. You knew the instruction, but fear whispered its arguments, and comfort offered excuses. You told yourself you'd act tomorrow, but heaven moves in moments, not in tomorrows. Every delay reshapes timelines. Every hesitation invites distortion. It's not that God stops loving you, it's that the flow of favor cannot fully move through a vessel that refuses to move with Him. There is a fine difference between grace and indulgence. Grace covers weakness, indulgence excuses it. The Spirit of God is merciful, but He is also holy, and holiness cannot bless what refuses to yield. The greatest danger for the chosen is not open sin, it is quiet resistance. It is the unspoken no that hides behind polite delay. You see, obedience is more than following instructions, it is alignment with divine order. When heaven speaks and you move, you become part of the rhythm that keeps creation in balance. When you ignore that rhythm, the world around you subtly shifts out of sync. Doors begin to close that were meant to open. Connections fade. Opportunities lose their shine. It's not punishment, it's consequence. Disobedience interrupts divine momentum. There were moments in your past when you felt stuck, trapped in cycles you couldn't explain. You prayed, fasted, worshipped, but nothing seemed to move. Looking back now, you can see it. It wasn't a lack of faith, it was unfinished obedience. You obeyed halfway, trusted halfway, surrendered halfway, and heaven, in mercy, waited. The mercy of God is astonishing. He doesn't discard His chosen when they resist. Instead, He circles them back to the same crossroads until they choose rightly. You might call it frustration, but heaven calls it grace, because He would rather delay your arrival than allow you to enter your destiny unprepared. Yet even divine patience has its boundary. There are moments when mercy steps back, not in wrath but in sorrow, allowing you to feel the full weight of your own decisions. That emptiness, that silence that follows prolonged resistance, it's not rejection, it's revelation. It reveals how deeply you need His presence. As it was spoken through the prophet Samuel, in the first book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice. Those words pierce through time. They remind us that God values obedience above performance. You can give, serve, sing, and sacrifice endlessly, but without obedience, it becomes noise. Sacrifice impresses people, but obedience moves heaven. Disobedience doesn't always look dramatic. It can be as subtle as clinging to a toxic relationship because you fear loneliness, as quiet as staying in a place God already told you to leave, as respectable as pursuing success in something that was never your assignment. The enemy doesn't always tempt you to do evil. Sometimes he tempts you to do almost what God said. But the Father is calling you back to clarity. He is reminding you that obedience is not loss, it is liberation. Every yes to God is a no to confusion. Every act of surrender untangles you from invisible chains. The cost of obedience might feel high, but the cost of disobedience is higher still. Missed moments, dulled discernment, blessings delayed, purpose postponed. There are angels assigned to your obedience, messengers who cannot move until you do. When you delay, they wait. When you step forward, they act. Heaven's operations often hinge on your agreement. That's how much power your obedience carries. You may wonder, have I missed my chance? The answer is no. If you are still breathing, the invitation still stands. God wastes nothing, not even your rebellion. The lessons from your detours will become wisdom for your calling. But to reclaim what was delayed, you must move swiftly when He speaks next. This time, hesitation must die. So let conviction do its work. But do not let it turn into shame. Conviction is mercy. It's the sound of a door opening again. The Spirit is not condemning you. He is calling you home to alignment. You've paid enough for delay in tears and restlessness. Now it's time to walk freely again. The voice you once ignored is still gentle, still patient, still near. It waits not with anger, but with open arms. The God who called you has not changed His mind, but He is asking something of you now, to choose obedience without negotiation. Because on the other side of obedience is restoration, peace that returns, clarity that floods, joy that does not fade. The cost of disobedience was distance. The reward of surrender is intimacy. And when intimacy returns, everything lost finds its way back to you, better than before. The air grows heavy before the moment of revelation. Heaven leans close when a soul is about to make its vow. You've endured the furnace, the silence, and the weight of decision, and now you stand before the mystery of glory and suffering intertwined. This is the sacred exchange known as the crown and the cross. Every chosen one must face it. The question is never if you will carry it, but how. Glory and pain are not opposites, they are companions. The same hand that anoints you also allows you to be stretched. The same oil that marks your forehead carries the scent of sacrifice. Heaven's crowns are not made of comfort, they are forged in surrender. You have prayed for the crown, for recognition, for promise fulfilled. But few realize that the path to the crown always leads through the cross. Not the wooden one you see in pictures, but the personal one you bear inside, the moments where you must choose obedience over desire, humility over pride, forgiveness over vindication. Every cross is uniquely shaped to the heart that carries it. Yours has been waiting, not to crush you, but to crown you. The crown without the cross produces pride. The cross without the crown produces despair. But when you carry both in balance, heaven's pattern is complete. You learn compassion through pain, wisdom through wounds, authority through endurance. The scars you tried to hide are actually the evidence of your coronation. They tell the story that you survived the refining and remained faithful. You remember the nights when you cried, asking God why He didn't remove the pain. Yet He whispered, "Because I'm using it." Pain, when surrendered, becomes power. It teaches you the language of heaven, the language of empathy, patience, and depth. The chosen are never shallow souls. They have walked through depths that others only read about. Every chosen one has a cross to carry. Some carry the weight of responsibility, others the ache of waiting, others still the loneliness of being misunderstood. But every cross leads upward, not downward. You do not drag it in shame, you lift it as a banner of victory. Because the moment you stop resisting it, the cross transforms. It becomes the ladder that lifts you closer to God. You can feel it, can't you? That blend of pain and promise within your spirit. It's the sign that your crown is near. The enemy has fought you hardest in this season because he senses what's about to happen. He knows a crowned soul can no longer be manipulated by fear. You're about to rise into authority that comes only through endurance. As it was declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verse 23, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me." That verse is not a punishment, it's an invitation into power. To carry your cross daily means to walk in constant surrender, to choose purpose over pleasure, to keep your heart tender even when the world grows cold. Every day that you choose faith in the middle of frustration, you are lifting your cross higher, and heaven sees it. Heaven honors it. There will be moments when you want to set it down, when your shoulders ache and your spirit trembles. But remember this, the weight of the cross is not the weight of defeat, it's the weight of destiny. It's proof that heaven trusts you with burden because it knows you'll transform it into blessing. You are not carrying it alone. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave is strengthening your back right now. Every step you take under that weight is preparing you for the crown that waits on the other side. There is purpose in every tear, strategy in every storm, and promotion hidden inside every pain. Do not despise the cross you've been given. Do not compare it to another's. The beauty of your story lies in its design. One day you'll look back and realize that what you carried built the muscles of your spirit. The weight you hated became the proof that you were chosen. And when that day comes, when the cross gives way to the crown, you will not boast. You will bow, because you'll know that it wasn't your strength that carried it, but grace. Grace held you when your faith shook. Grace walked beside you when others walked away. Grace whispered, "Keep going," when your strength ran out. So now, as you feel that grace stirring again, make a declaration. Let heaven and earth hear it. Type "I rise again" below, not as empty words, but as a prophetic cry of resurrection. When you write those 3 words, you are declaring that pain will not have the final word. You are declaring that your crown is closer than it appears. Say it, and mean it. Say it for the nights you thought you wouldn't make it. Say it for every version of you that carried the cross without quitting. Let "I rise again" echo through your soul until it becomes a reality. Because resurrection always follows surrender, and your surrender has already been seen. There comes a sacred point in every chosen one's journey when heaven places something unseen upon your shoulders, something weightless yet powerful, invisible yet undeniable. You have reached that point now. What once was training has become authority. The refining has produced readiness. The silence has birthed stability. The cross you carried has become a throne within your spirit. This is the awakening of authority. Authority is not noise, it is presence. It is the kind of calm that makes storms reconsider. It is the confidence that comes not from arrogance, but from alignment. You have walked through enough breaking to know that true power is not proven through volume, but through peace. When heaven places its mantle on you, your words begin to carry weight because they are no longer merely yours. They are breathed through by the Spirit of God Himself. There will be moments when you'll speak, and hearts will tremble not because of you, but because heaven will echo behind your voice. You will walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. You'll pray over others and feel power move like lightning beneath your palms. This is not imagination, it's impartation. You are stepping into the authority you were always meant to carry. But remember, this divine authority is born through surrender, not ambition. The world chases status. Heaven entrusts stewardship. Authority is not a crown you wear for admiration. It is a mantle you bear for service. To awaken in authority means to understand that your presence must heal, not dominate. It means to speak truth in love, to carry peace into chaos, to stand firm when others tremble. As it was declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, to overcome the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Those words are not ancient, they are active. They are alive in you right now. The same power that calmed seas and silenced demons has been awakened within you. You are no longer merely surviving spiritual warfare, you are commanding it. Darkness recognizes your authority because it recognizes the one who walks within you. This awakening is like dawn breaking after the longest night. Light doesn't argue with darkness, it simply appears, and darkness flees. That's what your presence will begin to do. Where confusion reigned, peace will enter. Where fear lingered, courage will take root. Your authority is not loud, it's luminous. It radiates from a heart that has learned obedience. You've been called not only to carry light, but to multiply it. Each act of kindness, each word of truth, each prayer you release, it's like dropping pebbles into still water. Ripples form, spreading farther than you can see. Those ripples reach souls you may never meet. That is how heaven works quietly, consistently, powerfully, and beloved. This mission is not something you walk alone. Every word like this, every message that reaches your spirit, is part of a great network of light. Together, we are building something sacred, a lighthouse for those still lost in storm. And like every lighthouse, it must be kept burning. If this message has poured strength into your soul, let your response be more than emotion. Let it be participation. When you like, you are striking a match that helps the light reach another wandering soul. When you share, you become a messenger, someone who hands another traveler a torch for their journey. When you subscribe, you take your place within a family of faith, a circle of fire that spans the world. And if your heart feels stirred to give as one who understands that generosity is sacred fuel. Your support, whether in prayer, in words, or in gift, becomes oil that keeps the flame alive. Each offering, small or great, helps carry this light further. To hearts still waiting in darkness, think of it like feeding the fire on a cold night. The warmth you've received can now extend to someone else who needs it most. We do not build temples of stone anymore. We build them with words, with faith, with unity. Every act of support is a brick laid in the unseen structure of hope. So, let your heart move freely. Give, not out of pressure, but out of joy, the joy of knowing that you are helping keep heaven's message flowing across this earth. And as you do, remember, your authority grows not through taking, but through giving. The more you pour, the more heaven refills you. The more you bless, the greater your reach. Like rivers fed by invisible springs, your flow will never run dry. Chosen one, the mantle rests upon you now. You have been trusted with words that heal, prayers that shift destinies, and faith that creates futures. Stand tall, speak boldly, move gently. You are no longer asking for permission to be powerful. You are finally remembering you already are. When you walk forward, let your every step echo this truth. You have authority, and you are using it for light. The awakening is complete. There are moments when the light in your life begins to grow so strong that it cannot help but expose what hides in the shadows. This is not punishment, it is revelation. The same fire that warms the faithful will also uncover the false. You are now stepping into that season. Chosen one, the exposure of darkness. It begins quietly. The Spirit starts tugging at the edges of your awareness. You begin to notice things you once overlooked, patterns of deceit, hidden motives, relationships that drain rather than nurture. Heaven is opening your eyes, sharpening your discernment. You are being taught to distinguish between what looks right and what is right. The enemy can imitate light, but he can never replicate peace. That is how you will know. For a long time, you tolerated certain things because you didn't want to seem judgmental or unkind. You gave grace where God was asking for boundaries. But discernment is not cruelty, it is protection. The time of pretending that all spirits carry good intentions is over. The veil is lifting, and you will begin to see clearly who is for you and who has simply been near you. Do not fear what is being revealed. The shaking that is coming into your relationships, your workplace, your circle, it is heaven's cleansing wind. God is removing what would contaminate your next season. He is revealing hidden agendas and secret words spoken behind your back. He is doing this not to shame you, but to free you. Every false alliance that falls away is making space for divine alignment. You may feel the pain of loss, but look closely. There is gain hidden inside it. When truth comes to light, peace follows. You will find yourself breathing easier as the weight of pretense lifts from your shoulders. You will no longer have to pretend to fit where you were never meant to belong. The exposure of darkness is mercy in disguise. Sometimes God allows darkness to show its face before He removes it. So you'll never question why it had to leave. He lets deception speak, so its mask falls off. That is what you are witnessing now, unmasking. People, situations, even inner thoughts that once felt comfortable are being exposed. Not to humiliate, but to illuminate. As Jesus said in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17, "For nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor anything secret that will not come to light." These words are not warnings, they are promises. They remind us that truth, like dawn, cannot be delayed forever. The night may conceal, but the morning always reveals. The light of God is relentless. It seeks every corner, every hidden place, every whisper spoken in darkness, and when it shines, nothing can stay the same. You will soon notice how the exposure changes you internally as well. It's not only others being revealed, it's you. Old fears will surface so they can be healed. Deep wounds long buried will rise to the surface so that grace can touch them. Heaven exposes not to condemn, but to cleanse. Just as the surgeon opens a wound to heal it, God reveals so he can restore. Do not despise this process. It can feel uncomfortable, even lonely, but it is holy work. The truth you uncover now will become the foundation of your next elevation. Integrity is the soil in which authority grows. Without exposure, you would build upon deception, and God loves you too much to let that happen. There will be moments when you feel betrayed by the revelations that come. When someone you trusted shows their true face, the sting will be real. But remind yourself, it is better to feel the temporary pain of truth than the lifelong drain of illusion. The Spirit is clearing your space for the genuine. What remains after this pruning will be pure, loyal, and aligned. This exposure is not chaos, it is choreography. Heaven is rearranging your environment so that your destiny can unfold unhindered. The people who stay will be those whose hearts beat in rhythm with yours. The ones who go are being guided to their own lessons. Bless them, release them, and move forward with clean hands and a clear conscience. After the exposure, the air will feel lighter. You will notice divine coincidences, increasing doors opening without explanation. Favor following you like shadow after light. That is what happens when the clutter of deception is cleared. You can finally see where to step. So stand firm as truth does its work. Do not panic when the lights come on. You have nothing to fear from transparency. The same light that reveals weakness also reveals strength. And in the end, you will see that what was removed was never yours to begin with. What remains will be gold pure, steady, unshakable. When light exposes darkness, freedom begins, and you, beloved, chosen one, were born for freedom. There is a sound in heaven right now like a mighty door swinging open after centuries of being shut. You can feel it in your spirit. Can't you? The air feels different. The waiting has shifted into movement, the mourning into dancing. This is the moment the heavens reverse what the enemy intended. You are stepping into the great reversal. For too long, it seemed as though the scales were tilted against you. The harder you worked, the less you gained. You were faithful in the dark while others prospered in deceit. You prayed in secret while mockers laughed in public. But heaven has a law of restoration that time cannot break. Every tear you sowed was a seed, and seeds, no matter how long buried, must one day break open. What is coming will not simply replace what you lost, it will reverse it. The same places where you were rejected will become platforms of honor. The same voices that spoke against you will testify of your growth. The tables are turning, and not by human hands, by divine decree. God is not only giving back what was stolen, He is multiplying it. Because restoration is never equal exchange, it is overflow. The world calls it luck. Heaven calls it justice. Every battle you fought, every insult you endured, every delay that broke your heart, it was all being recorded in the divine ledger of recompense. And now, the scales are being balanced. You are about to see the evidence of every unseen prayer. As it is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verse 16, "So the last will be first, and the first will be last." Those words are not metaphorical, they are mathematical in heaven's economy. God's reversals defy logic. He exalts the humble, restores the forgotten, and crowns those who once wore ashes. This is your divine compensation season. Do not let bitterness contaminate your blessing. When the tables turn, do not look backward in anger, look upward in gratitude. The purpose of reversal is not revenge, it is revelation. God wants others to see that faithfulness still matters, that purity is not pointless, that humility is not weakness. Your story will become living proof that righteousness still reaps reward. You may begin to see opportunities arise in strange ways, doors opening from unexpected directions, offers appearing from those who once overlooked you. Do not question it. When heaven reverses, it bypasses explanation. What took years to build can shift in a day under divine order. The great reversal is not just external, it's internal. The heaviness in your chest will lift. The exhaustion in your spirit will break. You'll begin to walk lighter, laugh easier, believe faster. The anxiety that clung to your thoughts will release its grip, replaced by the calm assurance that you are finally in rhythm with heaven's pace. But remember, this with reversal comes responsibility. The increase God gives you is not only for comfort, it's for calling. You are blessed to build, favored to free, lifted to lead. The abundance coming your way carries purpose. Steward it well. Use it to heal what once hurt you, to bless where you were once broken, to forgive where you were once wounded. You will soon notice divine irony playing out in your life. Situations that once mocked you will start honoring you. Those who underestimated you will have to acknowledge the light you carry, but your heart must remain pure. For the reversal is not for your ego, it's for God's glory. The great reversal often comes quietly. There may not be thunder or applause, just subtle shifts, people returning to apologize, long-awaited messages appearing, sudden relief in areas that once drained you. These are the fingerprints of restoration. Pay attention. What feels like coincidence is orchestration. Heaven is precise. Nothing in your journey has been wasted. Every heartbreak was a seed of empathy. Every silence was a test of endurance. Every fall was a setup for the rise now unfolding. The divine author has turned the page, and the new chapter glows with redemption. You've walked through years of subtraction, but now multiplication begins. You've been hidden, but now unveiling begins. You've been pressed, but now expansion begins. The spiritual equation has changed, and you stand on the favorable side of it. So, when the manifestation arrives, do not hold it silently, declare it. Let heaven and earth witness your agreement with this reversal. Type 555 inches the comments below as a prophetic act of transformation and grace. This number carries the vibration of divine favor, of change ordained from above. When you write it, you are saying, I receive my turnaround. You are marking the shift not just in your circumstances, but in your spirit. Every comment becomes an altar of gratitude. Every declaration a signal to heaven that you are ready to receive without fear. The same God who turned the mourning of Job into laughter, who lifted Joseph from prison to palace, who raised Lazarus from death to life, that same hand is moving for you. This is your reversal moment. Chosen one. What once bowed your head will now lift it. What once drained your spirit will now empower it. You will look back at the ashes and realize they were not the end, but the soil of your new beginning. There is a hum rising across the earth right now, soft, steady, unmistakable. It isn't the sound of chaos, but of awakening. One by one, hearts that once felt alone are starting to beat in harmony. It's as if invisible threads are tightening between souls who have never met but somehow recognize one another by spirit. You are hearing the call of your kind, the gathering of the remnant. The remnant is not defined by number, but by purity. They are the ones who refuse to let the fire of faith die, even when the night seemed endless. They are the scattered lights across nations, burning quietly but faithfully. And now, heaven is gathering them not to a physical place, but to a spiritual frequency. Across time zones and languages, a movement is forming not through marketing or machinery, but through the whisper of the Spirit. You've felt that pull, haven't you? The sudden sense that you're not as isolated as you thought. The random messages that seem to find you at the right time. The conversations that confirm what you've been sensing privately. Heaven is connecting you to others who carry similar burdens, similar dreams, similar fire. You are part of something global and divine. For years, it felt like wandering. You prayed in rooms that echoed. You spoke truth and met silence. But isolation was part of the design. The remnant is refined in solitude before being revealed in unity. God separated you not to punish, but to prepare you to keep your flame uncontaminated until the right moment. That moment is now. When the remnant gathers, power multiplies. One flame can light a candle, but 1,000 flames can change the skyline. What's forming now is not a church as the world defines it. It's a kingdom movement. It's the gathering of prophets, intercessors, creators, healers, and reformers, ordinary people carrying extraordinary light. They do not seek fame, they seek fruit. They do not compete, they complete. They carry the DNA of humility and the fragrance of obedience. You will begin to notice them around you. They are the ones who speak hope when everyone else complains. They are the ones who carry peace that makes others pause. You'll recognize them not by their titles, but by their tenderness. Their eyes hold both fire and gentleness, the mark of those who have seen God's glory and survived His refining. This gathering is strategic. The world is entering a time of shaking systems, failing, values eroding, truth becoming distorted. The remnant is being raised not to escape it, but to anchor it. When the storm comes, these chosen ones will stand as unshakable pillars, carrying wisdom that steadies nations. You are one of them. Do not underestimate your part. The remnant is a mosaic. Every piece matters. Some lead with words, others with prayer. Some create beauty, others restore order. You might never stand on a stage, but your obedience in secret fuels the entire movement. Heaven measures impact not by visibility, but by faithfulness, as it is written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 20. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. That promise is not poetic, it's prophetic. It means that when remnant hearts align, presence increases. The same power that once filled the upper room now fills living rooms, coffee shops, online spaces, wherever unity replaces ego. The Spirit moves where hearts gather in truth. And when He moves, transformation follows. You may soon find divine connections forming effortlessly. People who share your vision will appear as if drawn by magnetism. You won't need to chase them. The Spirit will orchestrate encounters. Together, you'll pray, build, and carry the fire forward. And through that unity, miracles will ripple, outward families restored, minds renewed, cities touched by light. But the remnant must stay pure. The danger of gathering is distraction. As influence grows, so does temptation to control, to boast, to divide. Guard your heart fiercely. Let humility remain your armor and love your weapon. Unity is not uniformity, it's harmony. The moment pride enters, power leaves. You are not being gathered for comfort, but for commission. The remnant is an army cloaked in compassion, a network of light bearers preparing for what's next. Your voice may feel small, but together with others, it becomes thunder. When you pray, pray, knowing your voice joins thousands unseen. When you worship, understand that your song merges with a chorus stretching across continents. When you speak truth, realize that your words ignite courage in hearts you'll never meet. That is the mystery and beauty of the remnant. They move as one body with many hearts. The world may not notice yet, but heaven does. The remnant is rising quietly, purposefully, carrying torches into dark places. They are healers in hospitals, teachers in classrooms, artists in studios, warriors in prayer closets. They do not wait for applause, they live for alignment. And when the world trembles, it will be the remnant who remain steady because they know who they are and whom they serve. They have been hidden for such a time as this. And now, as their light converges, a dawn unlike any other is breaking across the earth. There is a holy exchange taking place. Silent yet sweeping across the spirit realm, heaven stretches its hand toward you now, not to take, but to trade, to replace what has decayed with what cannot die. This is the divine exchange. Every chosen one must pass through it, for no soul can carry old ashes into a new anointing. You have reached the turning point where heaven says, "Give me what's dying, and I will give you what's divine." The Father never asks you to surrender something without offering something greater, but the exchange requires trust. You must be willing to release what you once clung to as essential: the memories, identities, expectations, even the pain that once defined you. The altar of transformation is built from the things you're willing to lay down. There are pieces of you that once served a purpose but have now expired. They carried you through past seasons but can no longer sustain you in this new one. It might be a habit of self-protection, a mindset shaped by old wounds, or a relationship that once felt like home but now feels heavy. The Spirit whispers gently, "Let it go." What's dying cannot follow you into destiny. Heaven's exchange system is mysterious yet merciful. God does not demand from emptiness, He invites from abundance. When you surrender, He doesn't leave you hollow, He fills the space with glory. The ashes of disappointment are replaced with oil of joy. The garments of heaviness are traded for robes of praise. Every tear you give becomes a seed of transformation. As it is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. These words are not distant poetry, they are a present promise. You have carried ashes long enough, the remnants of what burned in the past. But ashes, though grey and weightless, can still blind your vision if you keep holding them. God is not asking you to forget, He's asking you to be free. The divine exchange happens in layers. First, He takes your sorrow and replaces it with strength. Then, He reaches deeper, touching the hidden corners of your heart where bitterness and regret have taken root. He doesn't scold, He restores. He begins to rewrite memories, turning pain into perspective. What once haunted you becomes holy ground, the evidence of survival transformed into testimony. It may hurt to release what's familiar. The flesh clings to what it knows, even if it's broken. But obedience always unlocks transformation. Just as a seed must break to grow, so must your comfort shatter for new life to emerge. You cannot receive a double portion while holding on to fragments. The exchange requires open hands. Sometimes the exchange is sudden, a release that feels like a rush of wind through your spirit. Other times it is gradual, like dawn quietly overtaking night. Either way, the outcome is the same. You become lighter, freer, radiant. The heaviness that once felt normal suddenly feels foreign, because your spirit is adjusting to higher atmosphere. This is not the reward for your perfection, it is the result of your surrender. God doesn't wait until you have it all together, He meets you in the middle of your mess. The divine exchange is not a transaction of worthiness, it's a transfer of grace. You hand over your brokenness, and heaven hands you purpose. Look around your life. The evidence of exchange is already forming. Where pain once silenced you, boldness is awakening. Where despair ruled, joy is quietly rebuilding. Where fear stood guard, faith is stepping forward. The transformation is subtle, but unstoppable. You are being rewritten by the hand of love itself. And when the process feels heavy, remember, this fire always refines before it reveals. The ashes you surrender become the ink God uses to write your next chapter. What you thought was the end was simply the material for your rebirth. There is a sacred symmetry in divine exchanges. You lose what was temporary and gain what is eternal. You surrender what you built alone and receive what heaven builds with you. And once the trade is complete, you never miss what you released. You marvel that you ever thought you needed it. You will know the exchange is done when peace replaces striving, when laughter returns easily, when gratitude flows without effort. That is the sign that heaven has taken what was heavy and turned it into light. So walk gently now. Beloved, the ashes of yesterday no longer belong in your hands. Leave them on the altar, and let your spirit rise unburdened. Heaven has already completed the trade. You are walking proof of redemption. You can feel it now, a quiet rhythm beneath your steps, like the heartbeat of heaven pulsing through your veins. Everything you've walked through, the fire, the silence, the refining was leading to this, the prophetic march forward. It's not a sprint born of panic, but a steady stride of purpose. You are no longer wandering, you are marching, guided by divine cadence. Heaven's army does not rush. It moves in rhythm, every footstep echoing with meaning. You, beloved chosen one, have found your rhythm. You've learned when to wait, when to speak, and when to move. And now, heaven is aligning your pace with destiny's drumbeat. You are marching not into uncertainty, but into fulfillment. Each step you take from this point forward carries weight. The ground beneath you responds differently now. What once resisted you will begin to yield, because authority walks with you. Every challenge you face is not a wall, but a doorway disguised as resistance. Push gently, and it will open, as it is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 52, verse 12. The Lord will go before you. The God of Israel will be your rear guard. That promise is your assurance as you move forward. You do not march alone. The path ahead has already been cleared by divine hands, and angels follow behind, ensuring that no weapon formed against you prospers. You are surrounded before, behind, above, within. The prophetic march is not about noise or spectacle. It is quiet, deliberate, unwavering. Picture a river steady, patient, unstoppable. It doesn't rush, yet it carves valleys and reshapes landscapes. That's what you're doing now, shifting the terrain of your world simply by remaining faithful. You are becoming a living current of divine purpose. There will be moments when fatigue whispers, pause. When doubt murmurs, turn back. But listen instead to the rhythm in your spirit. It beats like the sound of drums in a distant valley, reminding you that this movement is bigger than you. You are part of heaven's procession, and your obedience keeps the song going. Sometimes marching forward means leaving familiar paths. Sometimes it means walking into spaces that don't feel ready for you. But readiness was never your responsibility, obedience was. The ground becomes holy the moment your foot touches it. Destiny doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins when faith moves. And as you move, remember, your story is a light for others still trapped in shadow. Someone is watching your resilience and finding courage to keep walking. Someone is reading your faith and discovering hope again. Your steps are more than survival. They are signal fires for souls on their own journey. Every message like this, every moment of revelation, is part of that same march, a collective movement of light across the world. You are not just a listener, you are a carrier of the flame. And like any flame, it must be tended, fed, and passed forward. If these words have met you where you are, let your response become an offering of gratitude and momentum. When you like this message, you're not just clicking, you're keeping the torch alive, allowing its glow to reach another weary traveler scrolling through the dark. When you share, you become part of the great chain of light, passing on a spark that might ignite hope in someone who's ready to give up. When you subscribe, you are choosing consistency over chaos, a steady stream of faith and truth flowing into your life. A reminder that you are not walking this road alone. And if your heart feels stirred to donate, do it as one who understands sacred reciprocity. Think of it as planting a seed in good soil, a seed that will bloom into messages, outreach, and transformation. Every act of giving, no matter the size, becomes part of heaven's melody through this movement. The light that found you continues forward, brighter and stronger, because you chose to sustain it. Let your comment become your footprint in this journey. Write from your spirit testimony, gratitude, even a single word of faith. Your words become stones of remembrance, marking where God met you along the road. Someone else will read them and realize they're not alone in their walk. That is how heaven builds community, through honesty, through shared fire. You see, This prophetic march forward isn't about one person speaking and others listening. It's about all of us moving as one body, carrying the same flame in different hands. Every like, every share, every gift, every word, it's a step forward in the same direction. The wind of heaven is behind you now. The ground beneath you hums with promise. You are walking in rhythm with eternity's drumbeat. Lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and keep marching. The world may not yet understand what is happening, but heaven does. You are part of the great advance of light. Keep moving, because the sound of your footsteps is prophecy fulfilled. Every divine story reaches a moment of narrowing a sacred threshold where the vastness of everything you've endured compresses into a single step. You stand there now. This is the final step. The moment between waiting and walking, between promise and possession. Heaven has been preparing you for this precise breath in time. All the lessons, losses, and long nights have led here. Nothing was wasted. Each season taught you a language you would need to understand this one. The patience from your waiting will become wisdom in your leading. The tears from your pain will become empathy for others still in the storm. Every wound was an instruction written in the language of grace. The final step is rarely the loudest. It is often quiet, steady, almost invisible to the untrained eye. To the world, it may look like a small act, a simple decision, a whisper of surrender, but in the spirit, it echoes like thunder. This step marks the end of wilderness and the beginning of walking in fullness. Do you feel the tension in your spirit, the sense that everything familiar is dissolving, yet something new is already alive within you? That is the hallmark of divine transition. Heaven always calls you forward before your surroundings look ready. Faith is the bridge between revelation and realization. For so long, you prayed for open doors. But the truth is, God was building the hallway. Every delay, every detour, every unexpected turn was crafting the precise alignment needed for this moment. Now the door stands before you, not locked, not hidden, simply waiting for your step. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 3, verse 14, I press on toward the goal to win the prize God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. That is the posture of your soul right now, pressing forward, not with exhaustion, but with resolve. You have seen enough of God's faithfulness to walk without fear. The ground beneath your feet may look uncertain, but your spirit knows it's solid because it's spoken for. Taking the final step means releasing control. You can't bring every opinion, every worry, every what if with you. The final step demands lightness. Think of a diver standing on the edge of deep water. There's always that breath of hesitation, that flicker of fear before the leap. But once you're in the air, there's no turning back, only trust in the one who told you to jump. You are standing in that same suspended breath right now. Heaven whispers, leap, not because you're ready by your own measure, but because grace makes you ready. The miracle isn't that the water waits. It's that you finally believe you can swim. This step will test your confidence in unseen promises. The circumstances may not yet mirror what you've heard in prayer, but obedience always precedes manifestation. Every act of faith sets a chain reaction in motion that no power of darkness can halt. Heaven's momentum is waiting on your movement. Look how far you've come. You no longer flinch at storms, you study them. You no longer panic in silence, you listen for instruction. You've learned to discern the difference between delay and direction, between comfort and calling. You've matured from reacting to responding. This is what readiness feels like. It doesn't always feel triumphant. It feels peaceful. The final step requires trust deeper than emotion. Feelings will fluctuate. Faith must not. The path might narrow, but light grows brighter the further you go. The narrow way is not punishment, it's precision. It ensures that only what is pure, purposeful, and eternal crosses with you. As you prepare to step forward, reflect for a moment. What are you still holding that cannot walk through that door? Fear of failure, the approval of others, the guilt of past mistakes. Heaven cannot multiply what you refuse to release. The last test of faith is always surrender. The moment you move, things will shift. The atmosphere around you will recognize authority. The spiritual resistance that once delayed you will lose its grip. Because the moment you step, destiny stops waiting, it starts unfolding. You may not hear applause. There may be no visible sign at first, but inside, you will know the peace that passes understanding will flood your chest, and your spirit will whisper, "This is it." That's how heaven confirms a correct step, not with noise, but with knowing. So, walk forward. Beloved, the season of preparation is complete. The final step is not just movement, it's transformation. You are stepping not into something new, but into who you were always meant to be. The waiting version of you fades now, replaced by the walking one. This is your crossing, your exodus from old fear, your entrance into fulfilled promise. The world won't understand how you did it, they weren't meant to. They will only see the afterglow of faith and know that something divine has begun. You have waited long enough. Now, step. There are moments in the divine timeline when heaven itself seems to pause not in silence, but in awe. You are living one of those moments now. The journey that began in confusion and warfare ends in clarity and covenant. You have crossed through fire and flood, through nights of unknowing and days of revelation. And now, heaven marks you permanently. This is the eternal seal. The seal is not visible to the eye, yet it glows in the spirit realm like a brand of light. It is proof that your journey has not been in vain. It signifies that you have passed through trials without losing your faith, that you have walked through refining and come out as gold. Heaven recognizes you now, not by your scars, but by your shine. This seal is not something earned, it is something bestowed. It is given by grace, pressed upon you by the hand of the Eternal, signifying that you are His, wholly and irrevocably. It does not fade when you fail or weaken when you weep. It is the divine signature written across your life that declares, "This one is mine." You have been sealed before. Though you may not have known it, moments when you should have fallen, but were mysteriously preserved. When darkness reached for you, but couldn't hold you. When despair tried to drown you, but something unseen pulled you up. That something was the mark of mercy already written over your name. But now, that mercy solidifies into identity. The seal becomes eternal. It is written in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 13, "In him you were sealed with the Holy Spirit of promise." Those words are not history, they are happening. The Spirit that hovered over creation, that breathed over chaos and called forth order, now hovers within you. The same voice that said, "Let there be light," now whispers your name in love. You carry eternity inside you. That is the mystery and the miracle of the seal, it turns humanity into holiness. You are no longer who you were when this began. The doubts that once defined you have dissolved. The fear that once followed you has lost its claim. The voices that once told you you weren't enough have been silenced by a greater voice that says, "You are chosen, anointed, and kept." You have been redefined not by circumstance, but by covenant. This seal brings with it a strange peace, the kind that no longer needs constant proof. You no longer chase signs, you are the sign. You no longer seek validation, you embody it. The seal is your assurance that even if the road ahead grows dark again, you will never walk it alone. For where the mark of heaven rests, the presence of God abides. There will still be storms, yes, but they will no longer shake you. You've learned that being sealed doesn't mean being spared from hardship, it means being sustained through it. The winds may roar, but your roots now reach deeper than the surface. The waves may rise, but you have already learned how to walk on them. The eternal seal also changes how others see you. Some will recognize the glow of grace and be drawn to it, not understanding why. Others will be unsettled by it, for light exposes what hides in darkness. Do not be alarmed. The mark upon you provokes both admiration and resistance. That is the nature of holiness. It comforts some and convicts others. You may notice that the things that once attracted you now feel distant. The appetites of the old self have faded. You hunger for truth more than approval, for depth more than distraction. That too is the evidence of sealing. Heaven's imprint alters your desires until what once entertained you now feels empty. You are being recoded from the inside out. And yet, this transformation is not heavy, it's liberating. You finally understand that your worth was never tied to your work, your survival, or your reputation. It was always anchored in belonging. The seal is heaven's declaration that you belong forever, without negotiation, without expiration. So walk freely. The striving can end now. You no longer need to prove your faith through exhaustion. You need only live as one who knows they are loved beyond measure. The seal makes you steady. It anchors you in peace even when the world trembles. And when you look back on the deserts crossed, the tears shed, the prayers whispered, you will see a perfect thread running through it all. Not a random series of events, but a divine choreography leading you to this moment of completion. Every wound became wisdom. Every waiting season became weight for your authority. Every silence became the soil where your faith grew deep. And now, beloved chosen one, you have reached the end of this journey, but it is not truly an ending. It is a beginning wearing the garments of completion. You've walked through revelation, through fire, through silence, through awakening, and now you stand clothed in light, steady in spirit, sealed by heaven. This message was never meant to leave you. Inspired for a moment, it was meant to awaken you forever. You carry something now that cannot be unseen. The truth has taken root. And from this moment, your every step, word, and act will ripple through eternity. You are not the listener you were when this began. You are the torchbearer, the one who will carry this flame into the hearts of others still searching for warmth. So, if this journey has stirred something deep in you, if these words found you when you needed them most, don't let them end here. Let your like become an amen, a digital echo that tells the heavens, I receive this. Let your share become your ministry, the way your light finds another soul still wandering in the dark. And take a moment to comment a thought, a prayer, a declaration. Your words might be the confirmation someone else has been waiting for. Every comment becomes a stone of remembrance, marking where God met you and moved you. And if this message has built something inside you, stay connected. Subscribe, not out of habit, but out of hunger to remain near the flow of words that keep your faith alive. To walk in rhythm with a community of light rising all across the earth. The journey continues beyond this page, beyond this moment, into every heartbeat that says, "Yes, I am chosen, and I will shine."